So September has been such an exciting month that we have been waiting on all summer long. The kids have been so excited to harvest these apples. They have been waiting for months. So the time has come that we are starting to harvest these apples. So excited to make apple pie filling. And of course, the kids love to eat fresh apples. So I'm so excited to get this harvested. So we're actually harvesting a little early this year. We've been noticing that the birds are coming in and starting to peck some of these apples, and they're actually starting to ruin some of them. So this is actually the first week of September. I wanted to actually wait a couple more weeks before I harvested, but noticing that these birds were doing so much damage, I wanted to go ahead and get these apples off of this tree. So this tree that we're working on right here is actually going on 5 years this next spring. So this is a second year of producing apples. I'm excited about the years to come because it's just going to get better and better and a bigger harvest every single year. So I'm actually surprised of how many apples we're actually getting off this tree this year. My plan is to make apple pie filling and put it in the freezer like I did last year. We absolutely loved pulling that out, making apple crisp, making apple pies. It just works so perfectly. And a lot of these will actually just be fresh eating apples the next couple weeks. I won't have to buy any at the store, which that would be really nice. My kids love to eat apples as a snack, so instead of using a ladder, I actually got on the four-wheeler and started harvesting the rest of these. I was like not about to go back to the garage to get my big ladder. Four-wheeler just worked perfectly for that. Just getting the last little bits of apples off of here, you can see how little they are. Some of them are actually really good size, but a lot of them are really tiny. So I'm really hoping that's just because of the tree of how young it is. It's just something that I need to go back and research and see if they are going to be a smaller apple. So the first year that I actually planted these trees, we actually lost one of them because a deer came along and ate it. So I had to replace one of the trees. So that's why there's such a size difference in both of these trees. But last year they started producing apples, and I'm so excited that we're finally getting fruit off of these trees. So you can see here the two varieties that we harvested this year. It's their second year producing fruit. So not knowing what these apples were really going to taste like, just because I was reading reviews and just reading the descriptions off the trees whenever I was ordering everything, and I'm happy to say that these actually taste so good. So we ended up weighing our apples this year just so we can keep track of every year of how much we get in weight, and we ended up getting 15 pounds. So we ended with 5 pounds of apples this season. A lot of these apples were ate by the kids, and this was what was left. I noticed that they were turning brown, so I ended up just peeling all of them. And if you guys want to watch my video from last year, I have the whole process of how I freeze all of my apple pie filling. So I literally just peel the apples, put it in lemon juice until I get all of the dry ingredients ready, and then I mix everything together. Let it sit for 30 minutes, and then we'll cook it down until it's thick, and we'll put it into containers and let it cool down, and then put it straight into the freezer. Alright, so we only got 5 pints of apple pie filling, which is fine because a lot of these apples were ate by my kids, and I'm actually happy that they got to eat our fresh apples for a couple weeks. So I just noticed that they were looking brown, so I went ahead and just peeled them up and cooked them down, and these are just now sitting out here cooling off, and then I'll put them straight into the freezer. So you can see here I left a little room in this container so they can expand when they freeze, so they don't crack my containers. These are actually really good freezer containers that I use, but you just need to make sure you take the extra step and don't fill them up all the way, and make sure they're completely cooled down before they go into the freezer. So it is time to take the pigs off today, and it is such a process. You just never know how well it's gonna go. Sometimes it's really easy, sometimes it takes a while, and I just know since there's 3 of them, it's gonna take quite a while. And they've never seen a trailer before, so this is all new to them. So whenever we let them come up and sniff the trailer, we usually just keep the fence open on the back side so they can sniff it, and then if they want to freak out and run away, they usually do, and then they'll come right back. We usually put the feed inside the trailer, so eventually, you know, pigs are known for their name, so they will find the feed and they will all get up in the trailer eventually. Usually when one of them goes in, the second one will go in, and the third one usually will have to use the back of the trailer door and kind of push them in. But we've been doing this for 4 years now, so we kind of just know sometimes it does take about an hour to get them in. This was actually a new breed to us, so they were quite smart, so it actually did take quite a while to get them in. So it definitely tests your patience just a little bit. We actually have a really busy day today, so we finally got the pigs in the trailer after 45 minutes of trying to get them in the trailer. And then we're gonna drive up and go drop them off. And it's actually Mennonites that are butchering our pigs for us, and they actually have a store next door that I really wanna go and look at. I've been wanting to look at the store for quite a while, I just never popped in there. So I'm gonna take a look around there, see what kind of goodies I can find in there. And then, of course, it's my husband's birthday. I gotta make a pie, a blueberry pie today. And then tonight is actually grandparents' night at my kids' school, so we gotta go there tonight. So it's gonna be a really busy day today. But I'm so excited to get pig meat back in a couple weeks because we have been totally out of sausage, and we just ate the last of our pork chops last night, and I think we have like 3 packages of the pork butt roast left, so we are almost completely out of pig meat. Now we do have some bacon left, but our freezer is looking so empty. But our goal this past month was to eat everything that we could out of our freezer so we can just try to get it all ate and not waste anything. So we actually have a beef lined up. We're gonna get a 1/4 of a beef, then we're gonna get our pig meat back, and then deer season's coming up, so our freezer will be completely full by the end of this fall season. So I'm excited to actually get all that meat back in the freezer because we have been slim picking. So I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to film this part, but I did. We actually weighed out these pigs, and they're actually the smallest pigs that we've ever raised. It's just the breed. I think they're IPP, Idaho Pasture Pig, but they're supposed to be really good eating, so I'm excited to actually try the meat and kind of just judge it from there. We have tried so many breeds, and I honestly think that Berkshire is probably our favorite so far, but we're going to give this one a try and just see what they taste like. But we'll probably end up going back to Berkshire, and I hope one day I can start breeding them again. So I ended up going into the store that they had next door, and I ended up getting some instant yeast, and I got these freezer containers. I love using these freezer containers. I usually get them online, but they actually had them there for sale. They're very good quality to put apple pie filling in, some broth, or whatever kind of soups, just anything that you want to freeze. So it's that time of year again that we're down in our field working on cleaning everything up again. We took a break this summer just because there's so many ticks and poison ivy and all that stuff. We didn't want to come down here and clean up. So we always wait till at least fall through spring to start cleaning up all of this. So if some of you guys are new here, we bulldozed a bunch of trees behind our house not too long after we moved here, because we're putting in a field for our cows. We wanted more pasture. So back here, you can see all around me, a lot of this has been cleaned up on the very bottom of the hill down here. You can just see a few stumps everywhere that we just need the dirt to come off so we can burn all of it. We're working this middle section right here. We still got brush piles to burn off, and that's actually what we're doing today. We're starting to light some of these brush piles on fire so we can burn them down. And then there's a lot of trees right here that's laid down that we need to cut up for firewood and get it out of here. And actually we don't have that much firewood to cut up. We've done a lot last year, so we get all of these trees that are in the middle here that are laid down, and we do have quite a bit to pick up, and we have some piles up top on the hill. So we just need to get those out of here, and then we can start really seeing how many stumps that we need to gather up, get the dirt off, and burn them down. So that's probably going to actually take a couple years to get some of these stumps burnt off. But for now, the past 2 days now, we are just focusing on burning down some of these brush piles. And then me and the kids are just going around and picking up all the sticks that we see, some loose sticks, and then piling on the fire just to get them out of the field. So hopefully in a year or two, we will be ready to disc up this whole entire field and seed it in a really good grass seed. And this will be a really beautiful field one day for our cows to graze on. So these are all the trees that we need to cut up for firewood. They're all in the center here, so we don't got too much left to cut up. It's just the main things that we're seeing are these just huge piles of brush and piles where they just kind of just pushed everything, so there's tons of dirt. So it's going to be a pain to get some of these piles cleaned up because they're really tall. We'll probably have to rent a skid steer eventually to do most of this work to level everything out again. There's so many rocks and dips and holes and all of that. So this is going to take probably a couple years to get done. But we are a lot further than we were last year. So you can see through the field, you can see, we call this buckbrush. It's kind of like little trees coming up everywhere. So we're gonna have to hurry up and get some of this cleaned up here in a year or so, so we don't have to go through this again with trees growing everywhere. And they're everywhere through this whole entire field. You can see they're, everywhere. And these are the stumps that are on the bottom of the hill down there. There's still quite a bit of dirt on the root balls. So what my husband's doing, he's backing up to each root ball that the soil has washed off all year, and then he's hooking up a chain to them and bringing them down to the fire here so we can get some of them at least burnt off, a lot of the smaller ones. But then you look down here, these root balls down here are still quite big. There's still quite a bit of soil on them, so we've been waiting for a lot of the rain to wash off a lot of these root balls. So eventually we can burn these ones, but they're a little bit taller than me right now, so they're huge. So there's still, what's left down here is all these root balls. And then mainly, whenever I turn up this way, up on the hill here is just this wood that we need to cut up. So a couple months ago, I ended up ordering a food mill, and I was learning all the benefits of grinding your own fresh flour. And I've learned that the all-purpose flour that we buy in our grocery stores are really bad for you. And this all really started whenever my son was in the hospital with pneumonia. I actually found this video and watched it, and it was actually a 3-hour video explaining why our flour in our grocery stores were really bad for you and how it's changed in the 1900s. So I saved all the money that I could because these flour mills are so expensive, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it buying one. So I've been playing around with yeast breads for a couple months now. It's definitely a learning curve to learn, but I think I finally got down a sandwich loaf. I'm still working on my rolls. I make a traditional roll out of store-bought flour, and I absolutely love that recipe, but I'm trying to still mimic that recipe that I use on the rolls, but I still haven't found quite the recipe that I'm looking for just yet. So this right here is the first time that I've ever made pie crust, and I have no idea how it was going to turn out, but now I'm making this video. It was the best pie crust I have ever tasted. So if this is the first time you've ever heard of grinding your own flour, or if you're thinking about getting a flour mill, I would highly recommend getting one, because grinding the whole entire grain, you get so much health benefits from it. And you should definitely research the flour that you get at the stores and see just how bad it is for you. I will link down in the description below if anyone is interested in watching the whole entire video on grinding your own grain.